It's been a hot sec. Hang on, sorry, let me just respond to a client. Yes, that works. Okay, I have like coaching clients who happen to be outside of England. And then I kind of sometimes just get confused with the timings. Even though I check on the clock, so I always like to put in the time zone. So currently it's Dallas. So it's at 12, so in 3 hours, which would be 6 p.m. All right, cool. Okay. But yeah, I'm really excited because I have posted a new video today. It's premiering, so it's going to be out in an hour, just under an hour. Because I have been having realizations. I guess we're having them all the time, right? But yeah, I've been reaching different states of meditation, and I've been realizing like how to retain a state of like stillness and different ways to get to that. So essentially what the video is about is how to think like God, right? Then my new YouTube video. And it is how to think like God. And obviously you can't actually think like God, right? Because God doesn't think. God is not a concept. God is beyond thought. God is the essence of life itself. God is the primordial substance that pervades everything. There is not a place that you can go where God does not reside. Okay? So the premise of it is to teach people how to attain, not even attain, because it's always there, right? That awareness, because that's what God is. God is that silent, still, divine, full of potential awareness. And this awareness resides in everybody. It resides in animals. It resides in inanimate objects. It resides in people. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that everybody has God within them, that we are all a part of God, that we are not separate from God. It's like the dancer in the dance. You can't have the dance without the dancer, and you can't have the dancer without the dance, right? Like that's the whole point. The dancer is the dance and the dance is the dancer. Whereas, for example, let's say I'm a painter and I create a painting. I'm separate from the painting, right? Because I've created the painting and then the painting's here and then I'm here. Whereas the dance is something that is like in your body, it's an embodiment, right? It's not separate from you. And this is what God is like. God is the creator and the creation itself. So a lot of times we see God outside of us, right? We go to temples, we go to priests, we go to people who we think are holy or whatever to try to attain God. Yet what we don't understand is that God is within us anyway. Second of all, God is actually everywhere. Like I said, there's nowhere you can go where God doesn't reside. Not one single place. So in our search for God, we have become really lost, right? And it's kind of become skewed. It's kind of become a way of gaining power, of controlling people, of fear mongering. It's an easy way, right? Because people want to have faith. And look, I used to judge religion, okay? I used to be like, I don't know why people are religious, but now I find it really cool that they are towards that area, because it shows that these people want to connect with something larger than themselves, okay? And and I feel like religion, most of it, is trying to teach core values, right? It's all saying essentially the same thing. But where the hiccup comes is that we have so many different ones because so many different religions were created at different times, and they had to adhere to the language, to the culture, to the traditions of that time. So older religions like Buddhism and Christianity and Islam, they were created at a particular time where the consciousness of people was at a particular level. So the consciousness has changed, obviously. So in Hinduism and Eastern traditions, they say that we were in the Satyug, which is the age of the truth, and then now we're in the Kal Yug, which is the untruth, I guess. It's the darkness, right? So now is the time where we are living in the dark ages. That's what they say. So a religion that was created in Satyug when there was the truth and people were more awake and, you know, connected to their divinity. It was easy. These religions worked for them. Buddhism was easy for them to grasp and to embody and to emulate, I guess, in their life, and to embody, you know, I already said embody. But now we live in a world where that isn't the case. People are different. People don't have that level of consciousness anymore. People aren't as awake as they used to be. So therefore, it's difficult for them to align with these certain religions. So, for example, Sikhism is a fairly new religion, hence why I think it kind of, you know, a lot of people can align with it because it's newer and it's adhering to the times in which we live in, because it's working with the template of, okay, we are living in the times of untruth, so it's helping people get to the truth. And what I have been doing, as I've mentioned recently, is reading a book called The True Name by Osho. So Osho goes through a section of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, which is called Japji Sahib, which is the first part of the holy book of Sikhism, right? So essentially, the Japji Sahib represents the first thing that Guru Nanak Ji, which is the Guru in Sikhism, the first thing that he said after he experienced God, okay? Like after he had a complete, full, immersive experience with God, he was sitting on the side of a river. And I mean, he was always very spiritually enlightened, you could say, like very spiritually woke, very like questioning certain traditions and you know, religions, because the religions that were most predominant at that time where he was born, which is now modern day Pakistan, was Hinduism and Islam. And then, you know, at that moment, he was, when he was born, well, not when he was born, when he was younger, he would question traditions of, you know, why do Hindus do these certain things? Why do they do these rituals? Why don't they just, you know, pray directly to God? Or why don't they, like, okay, this is just like me making things up. I don't know, but like he would question things, okay? He wouldn't just take things. Same with Islam, he would question things. And then yeah, so it was at the age of 30 that he had a spiritual awakening, and he was sitting at the side of a river with his friend Mardana, and then he just jumped into the river, and then he was missing for 3 days, and then he came out, and then he had experienced God, like had a full-on experience of God. And the first thing that he said was the Mool Mantar, which is Ek Oankar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirpau Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Sepang Gurprasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach Happy Sach Nanak Hosipi Sach. And then he continued with the Japji Sahib. So this person, right, this guru is coming out and he's literally just bringing fresh news from having a direct experience with God, okay? So Osho breaks this down. And the thing I love about Osho is Osho was, okay, firstly, very misunderstood. I feel like you either get him or you just don't. And I get him, okay? When you read his work, for me, like my experience of it, there's no way that you can read his work, completely get it, and then not understand the depth this man had, okay? He I think he had a doctorate of philosophy. He was like a philosopher who, they say he had Saraswati on his tongue, and he just knew how to talk, and he definitely knows how to write. So if you haven't read anything of Osho, or you have like a certain perception of him, break that perception. Why are you just gonna listen to people about, oh, like Osho's like this, you know? You like, things are being said all the time, right, about people. If I came and saw you, right, and heard something about you, and I said, oh, you were like this, right, this person is like so and so, just like one thing, and then I completely shut off myself to that person. I'm not open to them. I don't really take in any new information. I don't go and use my own mind to understand someone, to get them. It's like judging a book by its cover. So, you know, it's a bit shallow to judge a book by its cover, but lest we judge, people experience things at the level of depth at which they have experienced themselves, right? So if you are judging a book by its cover, it's saying a lot about your character and how you perceive life, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way that you are. Like, life is neutral, right? There is no good, there is no bad. So as I was saying, Osho writes about Japji Sahib, okay? And it was interesting because I had gotten into Sikh wisdom, Sikh like things from Sikhism, right? I was drawn to it. And then when I realized Osho, one of my favorite writers, is writing about this, I was like, I have to buy this book. Bought it, and it was enlightening, to say the least. The thing is, you don't have to be a Sikh, okay, to read this. You just have to be, I guess, open-minded, like you do in life anyway. But yeah, he talks about, obviously, the Mool Mantar, and what he breaks it down and what it means. Okay, the Mool Mantar is really, really important in Sikhism. Like, it's used a lot, all over in the Guru Granth Sahib. And you know, it talks about the reality of God. So it starts with Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar means Ek as in one, oneness of God, right? And like I said, most religions allude to that. They allude to the fact that there is a oneness that pervades everything. We are like an ocean. Okay, God is the ocean, and then we are the waves of that ocean. Okay, we are like the drops of that ocean. So it's like when the wave thinks that the wave is absolute, that there is no ocean. The wave just thinks, it's just me, I'm just a wave, like nothing else exists. And you know, I heard something today. I heard that like someone was reading a part of the Bani, which is the, you know, a section from the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, and they were saying in that, it was a saying from the Bani. It was saying something about a toad. It's like in India they have wells. So a toad lives in the well, and the toad has never seen anything outside of the well. So the toad thinks that the well is the absolute truth, that nothing exists beyond the well. And I feel like that's what we're like as humans, right? We are like the toads. We don't know anything else exists because we've never experienced it. We just think that this is it, like this is absolute life, nothing else exists beyond this. Because we're blocked, right? We're just so immersed in the well. We don't see anything outside of it. Things, forces, and distractions keep us in the well. This is a bit like your journey to God, your journey in experiencing God. A lot of people cannot experience God because, first of all, they're trying to experience God through their eyes, right? I feel like it's one of those, it's where you have to have like this inner experience of God, like this understanding. So gyan, okay, gyan is like understanding, is wisdom. You need to have the wisdom that goes along with that of God. And then you need to have an experiential, like, experience of God. It's found in meditation. That's why I feel that meditation, and this can look like very, you know, loads of different things, but meditation is possibly one of the most important things that you can ever do in your entire life. It is, because meditation is awareness, and we're all trying to be aware, right? We're all trying to be present, we're trying to manifest and all that stuff, right? And how do you do that? You do that with your attention. And meditation is effortlessness. It is effortless attention to the present moment. You know what they say? They say that the past, if you keep thinking about the past, then you'll be depressed. If you worry about the future, you're anxious. When you're in the present, there's peace. And what's found in the present is God. And what is God? God is the essence of life. God is the silent, still part of you that it resides within you. God is awareness. Because you are listening to me right now, okay? Yeah, okay. Priya, for example, let's say, is speaking. But who is it within Priya that exists? Priya, the identity that I have is not absolute, right? That's, you could say, my ego, because your ego is your personality, right? So that's just the ego. And when you have an ego, let's draw this for you. So let's say, okay, we're gonna say this is God. Oh my god, I hope it comes out. Okay. Let's say this is the ego, right? And you want to, and this is God. I should have written it backwards, but it's okay. So when you want to, like, this is the silent stillness, the divine presence that exists, that permeates everything, right? And this is God. So, I mean, sorry, this is the ego. The ego presents an obstacle when you want to be one with God. When you want to be one with the witness, with the observer, with the seer of everything. Because an observer exists within all of us, right? There's a quiet, unchanging, unmoving part in you. But the thing is, how often do you just sit by yourself? You won't know what I'm talking about unless you've experienced it. Okay? It's difficult to explain in words. Like, fully explain really, really well what I'm trying to say, unless you've experienced that. Have you ever experienced a stillness, a silence that's just observing? It doesn't have any emotions. It doesn't have any thoughts. It's not trying to control. It doesn't have any attachments. It doesn't have any dependency. It doesn't have any of that. It is just being. It's just watching. It's just listening. It's almost like a little kid. It's kind of cute. Yeah, when I connect with it, I find it be amused at times. Like there'll be times when I'm thinking to myself, and it's like I can sense, like I can identify with that witness. That's the point of my new YouTube video that I have premiered currently. It is reconnecting with the witness inside of you. When you identify as your name, your your ethnicity, where you're from, what you like, what you don't like, who you're friends with, what you have, your sexual orientation, your height, your skin color, your physical looks. When you identify with these things strongly, the further away you are from your godly self, from the witness that exists within you. And I guarantee you, the more you identify with the things outside of you, with money, with status, with looks, the less happier you are. It's simple. I had this realization that the further away you are from yourself, which is also from God, the closer, the more dependencies you have, the more likely you are to be dependent on substances, to people. You're more likely to have attachments. You're more likely to have greed, lust, all of these things, because you don't have a connection with yourself. And that is what people lack. People lack a connection to themselves, which is, like I said, ultimately a connection to God. And your connection to God and yourself is the source of your happiness. If only acquiring material wealth was the source of joy, then all rich people would be really, really happy. If the only source of joy was having like 10 sons, then people with 10 sons would be really happy. If the only joy came from looking really good and being the most beautiful man or woman in the world, then the most beautiful man or woman in the world would always be happy. But it's not the case, is it? It's not the case at all. So what is the source of our happiness? Where can we eradicate all suffering? Where can we just live in bliss, in peace, in joy, in ease? It's with God. And like I said, it's not something you have to search outside of yourself. It's something you have to find within you. Because all of these things outside of you, you know what they say in Punjabi? They say, Dunya ek melaya, which means this life is just a festival, okay? This life is just a festival, and look at festivals. Festivals come, they last like a day, a few days, and then they go, right? And this is what this life is. This life is very temporary. Everything is temporary. So in the Mool Mantra, towards the end it says, Aaj sach, Jugad sach, hai bhi sach, Nanak hosi bhi sach. And this means was always has existed, will always exist, true in the ages. Basically saying that God is the only truth, and God has always existed, continues to exist, and will always exist now, and will always continue to exist. Because when we look into what is the truth, the only thing that is true is the thing that lasts forever. And then what lasts forever? God is the only thing that lasts forever. Everything else is asatya, and asatya means untruth. Because like I said, things like emotions, thoughts, people, things, our life, our body, these things come and go. Dreams, they come and go. This life is but a dream. Really, just think about it. Yesterday was a dream. Where is it gone? It doesn't exist anymore, right? You can't touch yesterday. You can't feel yesterday. You can't hold yesterday in your hands. It's just gone. Right? Where's last year? Gone. Where are all these like things that just disappear? It's like a dream, right? It feels like reality, but it's not. But that's the illusion. It's a game. It's a play. They call it Leela in Hindi. In Sanskrit, maybe, I think it's Sanskrit. So everything in this life is temporary apart from God. So when we align with the truth, when we seek that which is unchanging, that which is unmoving, That is the source of true happiness. That is the source of true fulfillment. This is why people who are very connected to God, saints, gurus, bhagats, all of these people, you can't take anything from them. You cannot bribe them. You think you could have bribed Guru Nanak Ji? You couldn't give him anything worldly. You can say, oh, look, have this woman, and then he'll like be like, oh, okay, cool. Oh my God, I'm driven by lust. You can give him loads of material gains. You can give him loads of gold and try to manipulate him into doing anything because he had internal riches. There was nothing you could do to him to manipulate him. You couldn't give him anything because he was rich from the inside. He had a connection with God. He understood that this is just an illusion. This world, this physical realm, you mustn't be so attached to it. You mustn't take it so seriously. You must focus on what your inner world is saying, on that stillness, because that is where your true power lies. Look, nowadays people just want to manifest, right? People just think, oh, let me manifest this, let me manifest that, let me get some water, let me do the 369 method, which is wrong, by the way. The 369 method actually alludes to something other than write your dreams out 3 times, 6 times, 9 times. It's about frequency, more so than writing out what you want 3 times, 6 times, 9 times. But I digress. I'm getting thirsty. How was I? I hope this is making sense. Let me know. So yeah, saints and all these people, enlightened people, you can convince them of anything. They understood the reality of life. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're very lost in it. They are over-identified with things outside of them. And when you over-identify with things like money, power, looks, status, material possessions, then you're giving your power away. You're giving your energy away. Think of your energy as currency. Just because you cannot see it, right? It's not a tangible thing that you can hold on to. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have any value. It has the most value. Without energy, you have nothing. You actually lack the ability to feel things such as confidence, to feel success, to feel abundance, to feel joy. Hear me when I say this. You literally cannot feel abundance, joy, success, peace, bliss without energy. What happens to elderly people? They run out. They don't run out of energy, but like eventually there's a depletion of energy, right? So they can't do things anymore like they used to be able to, right? This is why like youthfulness is considered so valuable and so high, and we love it, and it's so attractive. It's because it's full of energy. And imagine that. Imagine you're just giving your energy away, but you don't actually see it, and then you get towards the end of your life and you have nothing. People always say, like, people always talk about like being elderly as if it's like gonna be the worst thing ever. But I don't know. I just feel like I'm not gonna be aging. I just feel like I'm aging in reverse, and it's possible to do that because anything is possible. It just surprises me. Sometimes I feel like an alien that is just being like shoved onto Earth. And it's like, okay, God's like, have this experience now, and I'm just like, I don't belong here. What is this? It's all weird. I don't get why people think like this. I do. I get it, and then I'm just like, I don't get it. I just see things very differently, I guess, to people. I guess that explains why I do what I do. But yeah, like, I'll share something. I was in a meditative, like having this meditative experience at the Gurdwara, and I remember I was listening to the kirtan, and then the Gyanu was singing, and I remember like a memory, like an echo of a past memory just came up for me. It felt like the echo of me being in like an unlimited, like I'm in space. We're in space anyway, but I'm on Earth, but like in darkness, in space, and it like I don't even know how to describe it. It felt like I was hearing it, and I was hearing Kirtan, but I was somewhere else. Like I'd heard it before. I just felt so full of like love. And that morning I'd heard someone speak about how, you know, our soul, because think about the history of your soul. Obviously, we all have a soul, right? And there's a part of us that remembers who we truly are. There's a part of us that knows where we came from. And it was like I remember that part of me, that like old part of me before I incarnated as Priya. Like that came to light. I felt like what she had felt like. It was a memory of hers that I had accessed. Hers, him, whatever. It has no gender, right? Um, and I remember this person saying how, you know, the soul is really, really sad. It misses oneness. And look, why do you think we're such social creatures? Humans, why are we social creatures? It's an accepted fact, right? We're social creatures because we used to be one, okay? And there's an illusion of separateness. We're experiencing separateness. That can't be denied. I am separate from other people, right? But you know, when you're in love with someone and you feel like, oh man, I wish I could just climb into your body and just like be one with you and just like live with you. Like I love you so much. Can I just do that? It's like that. We're always seeking to be with people, around people, to connect with people. We want intimacy, right? And why is that? It's because it's almost like a separation anxiety. It's because that's what our soul yearns for, because it knows that that's what it was, the truth. That was the truth of our existence before we became humans, before we incarnated into a human body to have this spiritual experience. Because it's not, I know the saying is, oh, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, but we're not. Okay, we're spiritual beings having a very spiritual experience. Because you don't have to believe in spirituality. You don't have to dress like spirituality. You know, I know that's the thing, like wear beads, have your hair like this, I don't know, what the, yeah, I'm sure you can think of things when you think of hippies. I think of hippies maybe. But yeah, like we're all just spiritual beings, because we are spiritual is being of energy, like, right? It's energy manipulation, and we are all comprised of energy. If I zoom into you, right, I get a microscope and I zoom into you, what do I find? I find energy, right? I find, first of all, atoms, and then you look further into the atoms and you see energy. And this energy is the same as if I zoomed in. Oh my god, it's 333! You know, oh my god, I'm gonna have to search what that means again. But see, the universe is talking to us, guys. This is meant to be. You're meant to be here. But yeah, if I zoom into my phone, I'm gonna see atoms, right? With a microscope, I'm going to see atoms, and then I'm going to see energy. And there is no distinction between the type of energy that is in my phone and the type of energy that I am compromised of. So it means there's just one type of energy, right? God, that pervades everything. Like I said, there is nowhere you can go where God does not exist. And so this explains it. It's like, why do you feel like you have to go to a temple, or like only here or recite a certain mantra, or do a certain ritual, or do this to find God, or like talk to a priest? Only then can you access God. The thing is, look, these things, they have their place. Some things are misleading and they're trying to manipulate you. Other things can be like the placebo effect, right? I mean, let's consider the placebo effect. The placebo effect is where, this is actually what doctors used to do a lot in the past. They used to convince people of the placebo effect. So they would say, look, I've given you this medicine, and they would just give them like a sugar pill and say, oh, look, this is a new medicine that we're working on and is going to help you. And the medicine would work, the person would get better. Read The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Actually, my sister might have it here. Where is it? Cardi, where are you? Did she take it with her? No. Sorry. I don't know why. Okay. Power of Your Subconscious Mind. A really good book. Because your subconscious mind is essentially God, okay? It's because God is the subconscious and it's the unconscious. Because it's the energy. And the subconscious is also your body. So this is why listening to your body is super important. The body has wisdom like you couldn't even believe. okay? But we don't understand the body because we haven't been taught to understand the body. We ignore the body. We are told to listen to people outside of us. Go to the doctor. The doctor knows what's good for you. The doctor knows what's good for your body. However, when you read um, a book by Dr. Bruce Lipton, I think that is his name. I can't remember the name of the book. Let me find it. Let me find it. It was a really, really good read. It was about how, you know, science is really, really backwards. It's kind of ancient because it's very deterministic, and also it doesn't consider the connection between the mind and the body and the psyche. You know, it just treats the body as if it's a separate thing, which is freaking, please, come on now. Come on now. Get with the times, you know, like what? Like, are we in the dark ages? You should know that by now. That it's all about energy. It's all about, you know, it needs to be about quantum biology rather than just biology, which is just outdated, because it's not just about things and hormones and chemical levels. It's about the environment in which your mind is living in. Where is it? It's The Biology of Belief. That's it. The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce H. Lipton. So he is a doctor, PhD, and he used to teach medicine, I believe. Medicine? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so he would do, you know, research, and he found that this, like, for example, cells, they are impacted by the environment. So the environment being your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs. DNA is very malleable. DNA is not set in stone. There are people who say, oh, you know, it's in my genetics, I'm angry, it's in my genes, I'm an alcoholic now, it's my genes, my dad was an angry person. Bullshit. That's what I say to that. Bullshit, honey. Because, yeah, okay, you received, because look, the way your biography becomes your biology, okay? So this is found in a book called The Anatomy of Spirit, so read that also. Your biography becomes your biology. What does this mean? It means the thoughts, the emotions, the feelings, the beliefs that you hold, they are imprinted onto your biology. They impact your biology. You cannot think a certain thought consistently and have it not affect your body. So then, if your thoughts, if a thought being thought consistently affects your body and it imprints your body and has an impact on your DNA, and it turns certain DNA on and certain DNA off, then it is imprinting, right, on your biology. So when you catch a disease, and then you go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, okay, what symptoms are you feeling? All right, cool. You know, this chemical has gone up. Your hormone levels are out of tune. This has happened. Take these meds. Let's quieten the pain. Let's quieten the symptom. Let's cure you. First of all, curing and healing are not the same thing, right? And second of all, did they ask you how you feel on a regular basis? Did they ask you about your childhood? Did they ask you about your thoughts? Did they ask about how your mindset is recently? They didn't ask any of these things, yet they choose to administer you drugs to help with things that are intangible. Because you can't, the thoughts, emotions, beliefs, they're not tangible things. I can't hold on to an emotion. The medicine I take won't take all the thoughts that I have and then change them and allow them to ascend and transcend themselves and become whole and pure and positive and loving, right? That doesn't happen. It will just alter, it will impact a system in your body. And the thing is, it's a domino effect. You can't impact one system in your body, right? You can't have an effect on it without impacting everything else, without having knock-on effects. This is why you have side effects, which is just amazing. Like I remember seeing someone's pills for depression, right? I think sertraline maybe, or gabapentin, one of those. I remember the side the side effects being you may become suicidal, you may have, what else? They were really bad. They were just awful. And I just thought, what? How can people read this and then continue to take this? I don't understand why people are not being educated. First of all, second of all, everybody is very incredibly unique. I can't even put an emphasis. Everybody is different, okay? So everybody needs to have different prescriptions, so to speak, not exactly drugs, but like a different prescription on how to help themselves. And the prescription can be, okay, meditate more, go out and get some sunlight. Because look, when I'm coaching, I realize most of the things come down to the basics. You know, people come to me and they're like, oh, I have this dream, I want to attain this dream, how can I do this? Or I'm like, okay, are you sleeping on time? Are you eating on time? What are your thoughts like? You know, what thoughts are you having? Where did these come from? Things like that. Like, these things are fundamental in your life. If you don't have a meditative practice, if you don't have a way of connecting to yourself, if you don't engage in behaviors, in habits that are lifting you up, like, you know, like that are essential for you as a human being, first of all, then how do you expect to thrive in life? You aren't getting enough sunlight, you're not exercising, you're not getting fresh air, you're not connecting with nature. How do you expect to thrive in life? You don't take a moment out from your busy day to just be. How do you expect to thrive in life? You know, like, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense at all. People, I don't know why, I don't know, like, people just don't think in that way, you know? Yeah, I guess they just don't know any better. Yeah, that's it. They just don't know any better. But that's why I'm here. I'm here to tell people better, you know? And the thing is, look, it's one of those things in life. If someone tells you something and you're like, okay, you know what, I feel like this feels right, and then you go, when you try it, you need to look at the results. You know, that's why I say to my clients, if you come to me and we talk through things, I want to see the results. I want you to see the results, and I want to see the results, because results are the biggest marker, right? Why have morals? Why does it matter if something is right or wrong? Does it work? Does this system work? Yes. Okay, it works. Great. Let's go ahead with it. Doesn't work? All right, out. In with a new. Right? It's like old customs and traditions. You know, when questioned, people say, oh, you know, we do this because we've always done it this way. We've always believed this. People have always done it. Okay, but why? Is it working? Is it helping? Mustn't we delve deeper? Is it not okay to question things? And I feel like I would feel that from certain religions, like, it's not okay to question things. But I think the most important thing is people telling you to question everything, right? Be curious, use your own mind, use your own reasoning, see what feels right to you, not just your mind, but like your body, your wisdom, your heart's intelligence. Your heart is incredibly intelligent. You know, there was this study done, and there was this computer, right? And this computer was generating random photos. So some of them were like really like graphic and not nice, and some were really nice. And people were um connected to a heart rate monitor, okay? So they were monitoring the rate of the heart. And then, okay, it's a random compute the image generator. So not even the computer knew, no one knew what that computer would generate. It's a random image generator. So isn't it interesting that the heart rate increased before graphic photo was even decided? Before a graphic photo was even generated by the computer, the heart's rate already sped up. Now, if that doesn't tell you that the heart is incredibly wise and intelligent, I don't know what does, okay? In this life, we have placed so much emphasis on our thinking mind. But this is the issue. This is why most people cannot attain the awareness, like the experience of what it feels like to be with God, to be one with God, to just be present. Okay, if it confuses people when I say God, because I know the word God can be quite a trigger word for some people, you know, they just get confused, they don't understand it, but that's what God is, okay? But I'll say awareness. I'll remind you that it's also awareness that I'm talking about, because that is what God is. God is an awareness. So, you know, a lot of people, they just aren't taught how to connect with that awareness. What it feels like for me, I feel like I had a visual of like what I wanted to draw this as. Okay, bear with me. Okay, so I'm gonna draw the body. Let's just draw a stick man. Okay, smile. Okay, so look, this is a human being. Okay, let's just say that's me. The awareness is not bound in me. Okay, it's not just like the awareness, it's just like in me. Do I have a pencil? Okay. Okay, so this is me, right? Your consciousness and your awareness and God, let's say, isn't just here. It's not just like bound in my stick body, okay? Can you see that? In fact, it's not the awareness that's in the body. It is the body that is in the awareness. And I remember like understanding this today, right? And I was saying in a meditation, and I remember thinking, okay, so it's not just the awareness that's in my body, because a lot of times, okay, when we connect to awareness, it's like, okay, I'm meditating, the awareness is within me, I'm doing something. But no, it's like the awareness is meditating you. I don't know how to say it. It's like, okay, let me just put it simply. I don't want to confuse people. Usually you feel awareness. When you're grounded, for example, this is why they say grounding is really important, right? Because what you're doing is you're bringing the awareness back from your mind into your body, right? And that's where you want it to be. That's where you can have like a sensory experience of life, right? That's how we experience God, through subtle energy. So people who tend to be a lot in their minds, people who tend to be really neurotic and overthinking, they're less likely to experience God, because God is in the effortlessness. God is in the body. It is experienced through the subtle energy, and we experience subtle energy through our bodies. So if you're not in your body, then you're not experiencing the subtle energy, which means you're not experiencing God. So first of all, you experience awareness in your body, and you think, oh, okay, the awareness is just in my body. It is, there is a boundary to it, there's a shape to it, it is my body shape. But let's do this together, okay? So I want you to just sit. Close your eyes, just take a deep breath. And I just want you to like ground yourself, just feel the presence of your awareness in your body. Feel like what it feels like to be in your hands, to be in your legs, to be in your feet, in your mind. Well, okay, not your mind. In your brain, okay, in your head. And okay, doesn't it feel like it's limited to that? Like it feels really intense. Your body feels intense. That you can feel the energy vibrating. You can feel there's a certain shape. There are boundaries. And now I want you to think about the fact that awareness is beyond this. Okay? So what you can feel, the sensations, feel into them. Feel into them so much that the sense of you being in a body disappears. Where only vibrations reside. And then I want you to remember that it is the body that is in awareness. The awareness is not in the body. What does this mean? This means that this vibration that you can feel, right? It pervades everything outside of you. It's pervading the room, the place in which you're in. It's not limited to your body. It's everywhere. And slowly, slowly increase it so you can sense the awareness in the room. Almost as if you're at the edge of the room, or wherever you're sitting, outside maybe, your car. It's you can feel the edges energetically. And then make that bigger, increase the awareness so it's in your whole home, or like a few meters outside of you, reaching high, reaching low. And then expand it to your city. Can you feel what that feels like? And then expand it to your country. And then the whole universe. And what you're doing there is you are getting in touch with the God inside of you, because God resides everywhere, right? That's what I said. God is everywhere. So if my awareness can go everywhere, you just connected with your God self. Is that not fascinating? Is that not like the most amazing thing ever? That we can do that? And like I said, it's through meditation, it's through sitting with yourself, it's through focusing your energy, okay? Focusing where your attention goes. Your attention is the most valuable currency. This is why people constantly want your attention, right? For example, think about it this way. When you like someone and you stop giving them attention, what do? They chase you, right? They want your energy. They want your attention. What do ads do? They make them so colorful. What do I do with my thumbnails? I'm like, okay, how can I get people's attention? How can I draw them towards myself, right? How can I take their like attention and then use it and like manipulate it to some extent, because that's what I'm doing, right? I guess I'm teaching, but I'm manipulating your attention, I'm manipulating your thoughts. Obviously I'm trying to do, do it for good here, because I'm trying to teach you something. I'm trying to increase your awareness. I want you to understand that you are not a finite being. You're an infinite, eternal being, a formless being. That's your true nature. And I want you to remember that, because look, it's a game. You came here, it's like this big cosmic play of, oh my god, okay, you're gonna go to Earth, you're gonna be a human, you're gonna forget who you actually are, and then you're gonna go through life, and it's about remembering. And then it's about incorporating this memory and embodying this truth, and realization of of your infinite reality, and then taking that with you every day. And you know what that is? That's enlightenment, okay? That is what enlightenment is. That's it. Enlightenment isn't some crazy woo-woo thing that we can't attain. Everybody can attain it, but it's about becoming aware, increasingly aware. It's a muscle that you must develop. It's not something that just happens overnight, obviously. The thing is, the more you do this, the more peace you feel, the less reactive you are. All these things like don't chase, attract. How do you chase and not attract? Because you keep your energy within you. When you meditate, you're taking your energy back. You're placing your focus inside of you. That is where everything is, because it is in your internal world, okay? It is back into that stillness, into that silence, into that divinity, into God that exists within you. When we give our attention to that God-like space within us, we become like God. We have the powers of God. People, human beings exist that have the power to transform small, the size of an atom. They have the power to become invisible. They have the power to be able to hear what people are saying on the other side of the world without a phone. They have the power to not be caught by any technology. These things exist. Just because you haven't experienced them, you haven't heard of them, maybe this is the first time you're hearing it, these things exist. People do this. Yogis, sadhus, they're doing this all over the world. But maybe in the West, we're just not that aware of it, and we just think it's woo-woo. Because look, think about it. Why? Who wants you to think it's a woo-woo? Who benefits from you thinking it's woo-woo? Who benefits from you thinking that life is just small and finite and limited and unmagical and just boring and serious and all of these things? Who benefits? Think about it. But if you believed all of these things, if you knew the true reality of you, of who you are, then who would you be? How would you act? How would you live in this world? Would you be dependent on drugs, on alcohol, on people, on things, on technology? Could you be manipulated? Could you be controlled? Could you be bought out? Would you lack integrity? Would you be suffering? Would you be consuming all the time? You wouldn't do any of these things. You'd be in bliss. It's possible to be in bliss all the time. Sounds crazy. I know, but it's the truth. It's the literal truth. And I guess the more that you expose yourself, like the fact that you're watching this just shows that you are already on that path, because you could be here watching this, and obviously this is a live, so people are watching this live, and then I'm going to post the live. So people watching this today, people watching this in the future, just know that there's a reason why you're seeing this. I guess you're on this path. There is someone there's a high order, okay? There's a high intelligent order and will that is being imposed. God's will is always being imposed. Nothing is outside God's will, okay? There is a reason you're seeing this. Like I said, you may agree, you may disagree, but it's okay because a seed is being planted. Because, my loves, a seed is planted from everything. Everything is subliminally messaging you. This is why you have to be careful about what you watch. Even the tiniest thing. You know, I knew within myself that I can't watch horror movies because I dream about them. Because they stay in my psyche. I literally dream about them. And when I do dream about them, it makes me realize I'm like, whoa, you know, how sensitive you are. Yeah? Yeah. Oh, I forbid it.
I didn't ask you.
I forbid it. It's gonna rest in your psyche and you're gonna have dreams.
So?
Okay, fine. I mean, if you're cool with that, sure.
Everything exists in my psyche anyway.
That's true. But it will just affect you. Okay. I'll be done.
Not
Adios. Adios, chico. You can't see anybody, Alicia. Oh my gosh, made me lose my train of thought. Oh yeah, God's will. Yeah, nothing is outside of God's will. So when you accept things like joy and sorrow the same way, you're thankful for the joy, you're thankful for the sorrow, you're thankful for the poverty, you're thankful for the riches, then you, my friend, are uncontrollable. You're crazy. No, I'm kidding. You're uncontrollable in a sense of ain't nobody controlling you, you know? No one can tell you shit because you're grateful for everything. And that is a very, very high level of power. And with that, I draw this to an end. Umeed hai abhi tusi enjoy kita. This, I just wanted to say that in Punjabi. It just sounds better in Punjabi. I feel like it sounds weird in English, but there's hoping that you enjoyed this. There's hoping that you learned something. And yeah, I love you. Take care. Connect to your infinite, formless God self if you want.